Hey everyone, we'll take a few more minutes before we start to let more people to join the live, and then we'll see Coogan and the rest. Thank you. Okay, so hello everyone. Today, Eden will take my place in starting the meetup and moderating it. Um, Good luck, Eden. Excuse me for that. Eden, the mic is yours. Wait. Okay, I guess we're having some technical problems. We'll give Eden one more minute and then we can
No
start.
problem at all. Happy to get started here.
Eden, we can't hear you yet. Try to talk now, Eden. In the meantime, good seeing you, Akshat and Coogan.
Yeah,
Thank you for joining us today.
absolutely. Super excited to be here today and excited to talk to the Web3 Devs underground builder community.
Okay, sorry, can you guys hear me?
We can hear
Yeah,
you.
now we can hear you, Eden. Thank you.
All right, I'm very sorry for the technicalities.
No problem at all. Excited to get started.
Okay, so hello everyone, and to the 10th event in our special online meetup series hosted by the Web3 Devs underground community. So before we dive in, let me briefly introduce our community. We're a community of Web3 developers and builders, funded on open source values by Shuli Rejwan and Goya Shelo. Since we started 3 years ago, we've consistently hosted in-person events, bringing together some of the brightest technical minds in the space. Recently, we've expanded to online meetups, and we're committed to delivering top-tier technical content to the global Web3 community. And we're thrilled to have you all with us today. So to stay in the loop for future events and updates, please make sure to join us on all platforms, X, Luma, Meetup, YouTube, Telegram, and more. All available on our link tree or website at web3devs.org. And special thanks to our community sponsor, Masterkey VC, an early stage venture capital firm focused on infrastructure and deep tech across the Web3 ecosystem. With a team of 16 world-class cryptographers and several technical experts, led by managing partner Shuli Rejwan, Masterkey operates across all major global crypto hubs. And now, without further ado, I'm honored to pass the mic to Coogan Brennan, Tech Education and Developer Relations at Polygon. Coogan, the mic is yours.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much. So glad to be here. Happy to be presenting today. I'm joined by my colleague, Akshat Gada, who also does DevRel at Polygon. We're going to be doing a tag team workshop today. Really excited for folks to be here. Super excited for folks to learn about these cross-chain development and the ag layer and being able to actually get your hands dirty on some code. Our team has been cooking for a number of months, and we've just released a new product called Ag Sandbox and the Ag Layer Developer Portal, which we're going to walk through today with everyone. And I think the builder community here is going to really enjoy it. It's going to be a lot of amazing tech knowledge that you all can take to be able to grow your careers, grow your knowledge base, continue to learn, continue to develop. So the structure of today is going to be, we'll do a brief overview of Ag Layer, what the Ag Layer is, how it's composed, why we're building this cross-chain interop solution, and then we'll start actually building the tools. We'll do the Ag Sandbox clone, and then Akshat will walk through a demo showing how to do cross-chain swaps. So if you have two chains not connected, running their own consensus layer, running their own systems. They're connected through the Ag layer, being able to show how we can take DeFi positions on one chain and swap it on another. It's really exciting. It's going to be a live demo. You'll be able to follow along as well. And so, yeah, that's the overview for today. Really excited to get started. And so, yeah, I'm just going to start by just walking through some of the basics of Ag Layer. Can everybody see my screen here?
Awesome. We're just gonna give you this
Perfect.
view, and me and Eden are gonna drop. Once you want us to ask questions or anything, just tell us. We're here.
Absolutely, pop in whenever. It's very casual, and we're really looking forward to having just a back and forth and just being able to sort of hear from folks where any questions they have about the stuff. So jump in whenever, no problem at all. So first, we want to just sort of talk a little bit, take you back in a time machine back to the 70s and 80s when the internet was just getting started. And when internet was just getting started, it actually was not the holistic, invisible system that we have today. It was a series of pockets of networks in different parts of the United States and parts of Europe and all over the world, but they were isolated pockets. So if I lived in California and I was on one system, I couldn't email somebody on the East Coast of the United States. And so that was a problem because as the technology was developing, it was very, very exciting. People were really interested in it. The proof of concept had been shown, but the connectedness of it was preventing it from scaling. So we had a lot of these different networks, but they were unable to communicate. So what did we build to help that? We had to create some common standards for the internet. That's TCP/IP. And this essentially created the internet experience as we know it today, where we have all these different sorts of data streams that are coming, all these different networks that are coming, and they're getting channeled through this common standard. And then we're able to access them without even understanding as users what's going on behind the scenes. I don't really understand packet transport. I've read a lot about it, but I don't need to know how it works. It just works under the hood. And what I'm able to do is build applications on top of that. I can build websites. Akshat can build proof of concepts. We can do this live stream here. It allows us to create a whole universe on top of the basic systems and the basic standards. So we actually have a similar situation right now in crypto where we have a number of networks and we have a number of L2s and L1s, and that has created a fragmentation of liquidity. It's also created a coordination problem where it's very hard to coordinate the different networks and the different systems and have them talk to each other. And that prevents the growth. Like we've been really excited by how crypto has grown, but it's not actually been able to level up and be able to deliver on the larger promises that that we're all working towards here. So what we've proposed is a similar standard called Ag Layer, which is a neutral cross-chain layer that unifies liquidity and allows to have a pooled amount of resources from chains and all these different pieces, all the different aggregate networks, and offers that to developers as a pool. So rather than having to bootstrap your own network, you can actually you can sort of stand on the shoulders of giants and be able to take the liquidity from Katana Network, which is a DeFi network that has really significant TVL. And you can talk to X Layer, which has a social layer and a lot of strong NFT community. You can also talk to Terranoa, which does a lot of payments and stable coin yield generation on there. So what's really exciting about this is that it provides for developers a way to tap into existing communities in new and unique ways, and that provides a really exciting opportunity as we're moving forward. So right now, you can see these different chains that we have here. The liquidity is fragmented across the different networks. What Ag Layer does is it allows us to all be able to even that out, be able to essentially kind of have access to that larger pool, and allows us to tap into that unified liquidity. You don't have, I think the hardest part of starting a network are essentially the operating costs of running infrastructure, getting capital, holding on to liquidity, making sure it doesn't leave, and you don't have people who are just running running at the first sign of the next protocol that's offering incentives. So if we can provide a really stable amount of liquidity and a stable user base, and then that provides a really excellent resource for developers, a really rich place for developers to be able to build. We won't go super deep into this, but just know that the ag layer is actually secured on multiple layers with really cutting edge technology. Polygon has invested a lot in ZK technology, zero knowledge technology. I know that the Web3 devs community has, and Masterkey has a really strong cryptography background. So the team that developed Plunky 2 and Plunky 3 are here in Polygon, which is some of the cutting edge ZK technology. And we've used that technology to build pessimistic proofs, which create security across the chain. So a chain can't withdraw assets that have been deposited on the bridge. It's also provided proof aggregation so we can get lower costs for transactions over time. And it's also created, it will allow us to create fast interop, lower latency across the different chains. Couple more sort of beneficial elements of it. On the protocol layer, we have native tokens, so we don't have to wrap as much. We can do messaging across as well, and Akshay will talk a little bit about bridge and call. We get chain abstraction. Essentially what we're getting here, all these different pieces provide a layer of abstraction, so you as a developer don't have to be concerned about what's happening on the network layer. On the protocol level, we have layers of abstraction that we've built on top of that. So on top of this, we've even though this has been really exciting to build and have this really strong protocol, we actually have another piece here, which is the next thing, the next generation of ag layer development and cross-chain development, and that is the ag layer developer portal. So you've just heard about ag layer, you've seen all this sort of exciting opportunity. You want to know, how can I start to build? How can I actually start to sort of get experience with the protocol itself? This is your answer. build.aglayer.dev. We want everybody to go here, check it out. We have really cool tools here. We have tutorials. We have examples that Akshay's going to walk through today. We have the different tooling that goes into it. But essentially what the main sort of piece is this ag sandbox. Now the ag sandbox is a local development environment that you can build, that we'll build today. We'll walk through it. I'll be able to build it on my machine and you all can follow along. And this creates a local development environment similar to what you'd experience. It uses Anvil. It uses all the different sort of Anvil tools behind it as well to be able to set up a local development environment that works really quickly for your developer flows and allows you to very quickly get started and start to develop on ag layer. So it can be kind of challenging sometimes. There are a little bit longer wait times for bridging. Right now on testnet and mainnet for any sort of cross-chain applications, optimistic rollups have a wait time of 7 days. Ours is a wait time of a few minutes, but it's still challenging to sort of figure out the developer flow. So we've developed this toolkit called Ag Sandbox, which spins up a local development environment and helps you get running and be able to build those. So we'll walk through that today, and we'll go through a tutorial as well. But this is going to be the main meat of the presentation. Is like, okay, how do we've heard about this aggregation, we've seen these different sort of networks and the sort of the resources that are available, and we want to start building, and we're going to go from there. Before I jump into that, any questions or any sort of any questions about the ag layer just from an architectural side or the concepts before we start diving in? All right, just perfect. That sounds good. Well, we will dive in then. So let me pull up my screen here. Okay, so we are going to go. What I want you all to do, people who are following along, I'll actually pull up the I'll pull up the repo here. So the main repo is just going to be this Ag Sandbox repo. So if you go here, it'll be able to walk you through step by step how to.
The screen is blacked out. We can't see the screen.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Here we go. I think this is it. Awesome. Can you see that now?
Yeah, it's visible. Yeah. Great.
Awesome. Okay, so this is going to be the main piece, the repo that we're going to walk through. Just before we get started, I'll clone this. I'll do this all from scratch so you all can see how we're doing it. I'll share it on my machine here. But before we do that, really want to make sure that you all have some of the prerequisites. You do need to be running Docker or Docker Compose. We also need the latest version of Rust, or sorry, the stable version of Rust, and then we need Make, which comes on all Linux or Unix machines, and should be, if you're building on that, you should be familiar. If you're on Windows, you can use the the WSL to have the Linux terminal, and that'll be comparable as well. So we are going to do a live demo now, and I'm going to have all my different screens up here. Let me just get ready. And this is really the exciting part, doing a live coding here. Akshat and I are getting really, getting very, very intimate here. All right, so we'll start doing the live stream. Start doing this screen share here, and I'll share my whole screen already, entire screen. Boom. All right. Alrighty, so we have our Ag Sandbox here. I have my terminal here, and really we're just going to go step by step here. I'm going to do every piece of this live with you all here, and cross my fingers, make sure that it works. So the first thing we're going to do is just cloning into Ag Sandbox. We'll go into here, and then we will, assuming that we are running Docker on the back end, and then you have Make and Rust installed on your machine, we can just do Make install. Now, while this is installing, we can just I can just sort of talk a little bit about what this offers you as a developer. So typically when you are working on a chain, when you're just getting started for an application, you want to be running your local environment. You'll be using Anvil or Hardhat, something like that. And that's for a single network. What this allows you to do is be able to orchestrate a number of different networks at the same time and be able to have your application and deploy it on multiple chains and be able to essentially kind of keep everything together while also being able to track bridging events and transaction logs and things that are happening on those different networks as well. And this is important because even with these layers of abstraction, it can be a little bit challenging to sort of figure out which network is holding which contracts and things like that. So what this allows is easy tracing, easy visuals to be able to sort of see what you're working on as you're building it for Ag Layer. And it allows a really good development environment that then you can migrate to testnet and to mainnet. The idea here is that it's seamless to be able to go from Ag Sandbox to the testnet and the mainnet. So we have just built Ag Sandbox, just took a minute there. And what we're going to do next is just going to copy. We have a handy environmental file that we're going to, .env file that we're going to copy over. And then we're also going to start up Ag Sandbox here. So this is the main way to run Ag Sandbox. We have a couple different versions of Ag Sandbox. The first is what we call vanilla mode, which is spinning up a local environment that's just a clean EVM environment. We also have fork mode, which is currently being tested, and that is also really excellent for building on protocols. Any EVM protocol you can use the fork mode for. We're using Katana and the Polygon ZKVM network right now, which is the two more stable ones that we have. But what's interesting is that you can really import a number of different networks and you can have them running through Ag Sandbox. So even if it's not quite available yet, you can do it. You can do it here through Ag Sandbox. So now we can see here that we have deployed a number of base protocol contracts. These are the L1 contracts that we're using on Ethereum to be able to negotiate all the different rollups and all the different pieces of the interoperability that's happening that you don't have to be concerned about, it's just running underneath the hood. We also have these L2 contracts. Now, these are ones that are deployed onto the different networks and are pointing back to the L1. We also can see that we have these different configurations for the different networks here. So here's our Polygon L1. Here's our Polygon ZK EVM chain. We can spin up a number of, we can do multi-chains. Akshat will walk through that as well. We also have separate RPC endpoints, of course, because they're different networks, and separate chain IDs as well, because they are separate networks. So what we can do now is just follow the status. This will give us a quick update on how everything's running. AgKit is the really critical piece here for AgLayer. Like Anvil is Anvil. You all are familiar with that. AgKit is essentially the module that we run to be able to point networks to each other. It's sort of the central communication hub for AgLayer. So being able to route requests and route different things is a big piece of the AgLayer, and the AgKit is a really lightweight way to do it. And what else we can do here is, and I'm just going to pull up from the build AgLayer dev here. We can also check on the different bridges that are here. And this is kind of a nice way to have visibility on the different networks and be able to see here. Okay, let me see here. Here we go. Network ID. Sorry, I got to update that. Network ID. SC1. There we go. All right. So here's our bridge information for the second network. And then let's see if we can also pull this one. Okay, great. So again, this is just sort of being able to, and Akshat will go through this during his demo, but like essentially we're watching sort of the transaction count. It's got a little bit of metadata. It's got the different supported L2 networks. So you can do multi-chain networks here, total bridges here. We haven't done anything quite yet. We haven't started. We have a 5-second settlement delay. So that is essentially a extremely fast bridging time to be able to do transactions and have your applications talk to each other. And so we can be running this, and then there's a lot of really good metrics that we can be running in different sort of ways that you can follow the different sort of bridge events as they're coming through. So you can be running a couple different windows, and Akshat will show that during his demo. So yeah, that's AgLayer. That's getting started with Ag Sandbox. I was able to spin that up in less than a few minutes, able to do it live here. Very easy. Again, just running Docker and Make and Rust on our machines. And here you're set up to be able to build anything that your heart desires. What's really nice, though, is that at this point, it's sort of like the blank page phenomenon, where you say, well, I don't really quite know what to build. And this is where Akshat's work and the next section for Akshat will come in, because we will be able to walk through some of these demos that the team has built over the past couple months. Okay, interesting. Okay, we also have a couple questions here, which is really great. All right, let me see. Okay, so how will poll play a role in the whole system? There's actually a really great blog post that we can share about that, but essentially poll will accrue value from the validators, from the different the staking mechanisms of the AgLayer. It will be the way that so value will accrue to poll token holders from AgLayer activity. So the more activity there is, the more value goes back to poll holders. And yeah, so that's the main benefit for poll. Even though AgLayer is neutral, it's always been understood that we'll be running it on our networks and being able to use poll for that. And then someone's asking about the cat token from Katana. Yes, that's more of a token question, token economics question, but we can I can send a follow-up later, but not really for development now. Okay, any other questions from the Web3 devs team? If not, I will. Yeah.
I think we can go on.
Great, perfect. All righty, I'll hand it over to Akshat. Go for it, Akshat.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Akshat, a developer at Polygon. So I'll be continuing from where Coogan left off. So Coogan did an amazing job showing how easy it is to set up Ag Sandbox. It literally took less than 3 minutes to set everything up from scratch. So that makes you understand that here at Polygon, we care a lot about developer experience. We want that these tools that we are making available to people are easy to spin up, and we'll also provide feedback, and people using our tools can provide feedback, and we will immediately cater to the issues that we are having. So carrying on from where Coogan left off, Coogan told, first of all, he cloned the Ag Sandbox and he set it up. Ag Sandbox is a local testing suite or a tool which can be used to test and build applications onto. So when we had this tool built, we thought how to like inspire and motivate devs to build things on it. One of the ways is to show demos. Today, I'll be walking through one of those demos that we have that I have built on top of Ag Sandbox, which will be a cross-chain swap. I'll start sharing my screen and I'll walk through the demo as we go on. Sure. So the main the main website here is the build.aglayer.dev website, which is our developer portal for Aglayer development. And there we have a section called examples here. In examples, we have a few examples here to just showcase the ability of Aglayer to make cross-chain applications. Today we'll be going in depth one of them. So the one we are going in depth today and diving in, seeing how the code works, how it is configured, and how it is set up with Ag Sandbox. All of that, everything will be going through with cross-chain swap. So from a user's perspective, when we want to swap tokens, we use protocols like Uniswap, SushiSwap to swap tokens, and they are on one chain. We thought that what if we want to swap tokens, but they're not on the same chain? For example, I have tokens on a chain, say, let's just say Sepolia, which is the Ethereum testnet, and we have some tokens on a ZKM Cardona, which is the testnet for a Polygon ZK AVM, and we want to swap them. So what this dApp does is, using Aglayer bridge and call, which is something built on top of the Aglayer unified bridge, what we can do is, in one transaction, do a bridge and also do a swap. That's where the call part comes. So we have two parts here. One part is bridge asset, and the next part is call, where we call the smart contract on the destination chain to swap the tokens. So in one transaction, we bridge the assets and we also swap the tokens. So from a perspective of user experience, if a person wants to come in and want to swap tokens cross-chain, this is the easiest user experience and the best user experience that anyone can provide. And this is all possible through Aglayer bridge and call. So going in depth to the cross-chain swap, I'll first might be show a local demo that I have been running, and we can dive in deep as well. So this is the AgSwap demo that I'm showing here. AgSwap, cross-chain swap built using Aglayer unified bridge. So this is all set up with the Ag Sandbox that I'm running locally, as Coogan just shared. So after that setup, you jump here and you start building. So we'll take it step by step. So what we want to do is, we want to swap tokens. Okay, so there are two chains. Let's just say this chain, there's L1 chain and there's L2 chain. We want to take tokens from L1, go to L2 and swap those tokens. Here, I've taken example of two tokens. This is a guide that I'll be also going through parallelly so that you can understand how this works internally as well. So let's just say there are two tokens. There are tokens on this token A and this token B. And I want to swap token A, which is on Sepolia, with token B, which is on the Cardona network. Great. So what we need to do here is first bridge the tokens, the token A tokens to the Cardona network, and then execute a swap from token A to token B. There are two steps here, but using Aglayer bridge and call, we can do it with one transaction. So I'll just show you how we do it, and then we can go might be in depth of how we build the actual demo. So this is the landing page here. I first select the token pair. The token pair here means that token A, source chain, which is a Sepolia chain, and destination chain, which is the Cardona chain. We select that. So this is token A address, and this is the send token A from this chain, and we get token B on the other chain. So I'll be sending 5 tokens, and let's see. Okay, so the transaction has started over here. Now let's run through and check where the transaction is. Okay, so in the last, while Google was demonstrating, he showcased bridges. So I'll run this command. This is a very handy command which we have in the Ag Sandbox CLI, which shows the amount of cross-chain transactions that are happening. Ag Sandbox show bridges network ID 0, which basically shows how many cross-chain transactions you initiated from the 0 network ID, which is the L1 here. So you can see I have run this command before. There are totally 8 bridges which I've run. So what we'll do now is run this again and see how many bridges are there. So there are 10 bridges. So here, why are there 2 additional bridges? So there are 2 transactions. So there are 2 transactions split. So there's bridge asset and there is bridge message, which is together called bridge and call. Bridge asset does the function of transferring the asset, the tokens, from one chain to another. And bridge and call, what it does is basically calls the smart contract on the destination chain for you. So the assets get transferred and then you can also call. Okay. So before that, what we want to do is check whether it's actually running or not. So first what we'll do is there's a split terminal here so that you can see both sides. I just want to confirm with Coogan that whether my screen is properly visible and everyone can see exactly what's going on.
Yep, looks great.
Yeah, sure. Let's continue. So this token address you see here is the token address for the token A on the L2, so that destination chain. So you want to check this address and see how many tokens are currently there. So if we see, there are 45 tokens currently on that chain. And then if we switch over to this command and check, this is token B address, and check how many tokens are there, we can see that there are about 66 tokens on the destination chain for token B. So the first part is completed through the UI, which is this part, is a bridging part. So there are 2 components. There's a bridging part and there's a claiming part. After we bridge a transaction from the source chain, we also have to claim it on the destination chain. I'm showing this can be done automatically, but just for the walkthrough, I'm going to do a manual claim here so that you can run through the steps yourself. There are 10 total bridges with information for the transaction each bridge. What I want to do is go and grab the bridge transaction hash of the latest transaction. So I'll just be scrolling top and checking for the latest transaction hash. So here, so it goes from 0 to 9. So the deposit count 8, we have the deposit count 8 here, and then we have the deposit count 9 over here. So this is the latest transaction that has happened right now. I'm going to grab the bridge transaction hash for this, and then what I'm going to do is claim the transaction as well. So I just pasted it here for reference so that I can paste it in the command later. What I'm going to do next is I've written down the command so that it's easy for us to run through the demo. First, there we have to claim the asset, then we have to claim the message. So the deposit count 8, the number 8 is the deposit count number 8 is the asset. So I'm going to claim the asset first. I'm just going to copy this transaction hash, paste it over here. All these commands are actually properly written down in the documentation. You can find it on the Aglia website, Ag Sandbox documentation. Also the repository that Coogan showed, there is a separate section called docs where all these commands are listed and all these bridge workflows are listed properly so that you can try it out yourselves as well. So I'm going to first go forward and claim this. Okay, so I've claimed this, claiming asset. I got to claim asset. It is showing 5 tokens, the tokens that I've given. And then I've claimed asset. What I want to do next is I want to claim the message. I claim the message as well. Great, the message is also claimed. So what I'm going to do now is check whether it actually worked. What we want is both the bridge and call to work. So ideally, the token A, the amount balance for token A should remain the same, should remain 45. Yes, it is the same. And the token B, which was at 66, should be swapped and should be increased. Yes. So we have 66 tokens here. So you might ask why aren't the 5 tokens swapped? So there's something called fees as well, which goes into swapping. So when we generate a pair through Uniswap, there's a fee which is also paid. So here I've written down the amount which needs to come out, which is about 2.8, 2.9. So that amount had to come out. So what has happened is before we even claim the transaction, what happened is the initial balance was 66 tokens of token B on the destination chain. And after we claimed, we got 68 tokens. So in normal bridges, like all the other bridges you might have used, the tokens would have been transferred from token A on the source bridge to token A on the destination bridge. So this value should have been changed in any other normal bridges. But using ag layer bridge and call, we also transfer the asset and even swap the asset. And we get the token B amount increase. So all of this is in one transaction. So yeah, so this demo is done for now. I can go in depth and explain how this demo actually works. But before that, I would like to take any questions from the audience and if they have any questions. Yeah.
Yeah, so Akshay, I just wanted to just sort of reiterate that this is running on testnet, right? You're able to run this locally and it's able to happen quickly, this swap exchange that you're building there, right?
Yes, everything is configured with the Ag sandbox that I'm running. So Docker's running in the background, and exactly how Coogan set it up. After that, this continues from there. And you saw that instantly in a few seconds, I could bridge and even claim the transaction. Currently, if you want to do the same thing on testnet and mainnet, it takes about 20 minutes. But using this new tool that we have developed called Ag Sandbox, this happens instantaneously. So you can iterate over applications, test new concepts. This is a very a very simple thing like bridging and swapping. But just imagine what you can build atop this: multiple bridges, multiple swaps, and how useful it would be in real life for DeFi.
Absolutely. And then also, I know, Akshat, that you have a couple other examples that you've built in the developer portal. Do you have, did you want to walk through any of those just from a really high level?
Sure. Yeah. I can actually go a little bit in depth into, since this is a developer focused walkthrough, I can go a little bit in more depth on how this was built on the backend and show you how bridge and call was configured and how the token mapping was done, just for this demo, because we want to make sure that this new design pattern of cross-chain dApps is understood by the audience. So can I continue to do that, Coogan?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. So we saw everything working seamlessly. Now we'll go forward, and I've created this small demo here, which is a developer guide in building cross-chain swaps with Aglia, which gives us an idea on how it is built. So I'll just go through step by step. Since the actual demo is over, we can actually dive in deep and understand what goes behind the back, behind the scenes. So starting with the configuration step, you might have seen that there are two tokens. So let's just say this is the L1, the network 1, and this is network 2. We have two tokens which we can deploy on Ag Sandbox. And then when we bridge these two tokens, token A and token B, we get the counterparts for these two tokens, which we also have to put in the configuration. So when after the first bridging event happens, the token address gets generated for token A. And from the next, every time I do bridge asset again, the same token address is getting used. So we can use these hard-coded token addresses for setting up the swap. Then we have the API handler, which is this chain swap handler here, which basically what it does is, for example, in the UI, you might have seen me writing down 5 tokens to swap and the user address. So all of this configuration is handled by the API handler. Step 3 would be the pre-approval system. So whenever we do cross-chain activities, we deal with a contract called as the bridge extension contract. So we need to pre-approve spending of the ERC20 token using the bridge, the bridge extension contract. So this step is basically to approve the bridge extension here, which is written as a bridge executor, basically to approve the executor and the contract to use the ERC20 token, which is a very important part, because you want to make sure that the tokens are approved and then only they can be spent. Next, which is, I think, where the bridge and call and the ag layer chunk of it starts, is creating the swap call data. So here, if I want to go a little bit in more depth, we're using Uniswap contracts. In Uniswap contracts, Uniswap v2 contracts, we have something called swap exact tokens for tokens, which is a function inside Uniswap router contract. So what we want to do here is want to encode that function data. So this section here happens on the source chain. We encode the function on the source chain, and then after encoding the function on the source chain, we bridge it to the destination chain. So all of this is happening on the source chain. So we want to communicate to the destination chain that you call this particular function. So this encode function data, swap exact tokens for tokens, which is the function that we want to call in the destination chain, is encoded here. And then comes the important part, and the part which I think everyone's waiting for, is a bridge and call function. Bridge and call function is the most important part here, because this is the wrapper using which we can dictate which address the tokens get transferred to, which contract gets called. So there is a library called lxly.js, which is developed internally by Polygon, through which using lxly.js, you can basically develop applications for bridge and call. So first of all, we get the client, lxly client, using lxly.js, and then we basically call the bridge and call function in that. When we are calling bridge and call, these are some of the parameters that are needed here. So the source token address, the amount, the destination network ID, and the router address. So we are doing two things here. As I said, we are bridging the asset. So we have to dictate the destination token address, and then we have to dictate the router address. The router address is the one which does the actual swap, so we have to write that down as well in the bridge and call function. And then we have a little bit of fallbacks, and then we have the bridge and call part. The other parts here are just issues and solutions and conclusion, but I think this is the main part where a person basically who wants to use Aglia Unified Bridge wants to do asset bridging plus message bridging in one, can use this bridge and call function and do it. I think sky's the limit for building on top of bridge and call, because if you can think about all the areas where you want to do cross chain, and you also want to call smart contract there so that everything happens in one transaction, this is the foundation that you build atop of. Yeah. So this is the end of, I think, this demo. Since I've gone through this part, I would like to take some questions if they're there, or if Coogan, if you want to ask me some. Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. I got a couple questions here from Ariel. Does the swap work on every chain? Do the chain devs need to add some sort of integration?
Yes. So first of all, the chain devs, I'm here, like I might be, you're talking about the protocol devs here. The chain has to have the Aglia Unified Bridge contracts. There's a bridge contract, and then particularly for bridge and call, there's a bridge extension contract which needs to be deployed on the chain, which automatically comes when you're set up with Aglia and connected to the Aglia. And after that, you don't need to do anything extra. Everything works along with the existing contracts deployed specifically for bridge and call. So for example, I have this router contract that was deployed over here, router address. So that works with the address that is already deployed. You don't need to do any additional things over here. You just need to mention that already deployed address. So once the chain is connected to Aglia, you are set to develop applications. Yeah.
And there's a second question around the swap fee, which is which chain gets the fee for the swap when you're doing the swap?
Oh, okay. So the swap fee here is just something that I took for the example. That's not the important part here. I configured the swap fee with the owner address. So that's not the important issue here. The swap fee could have been actually 0 in this part. The swap is not where Aglia bridge and call comes in. That is handled by the Uniswap contracts. That's not the part we are dealing with. This is just to show you that how we bridge and call, not the actual swap function. Here we have just used the Uniswap v2 contracts for an example purpose, but in the future, as Coogan mentioned, we can also, when we'll have the Katana chain integrated with Aglia Ag Sandbox, what we can do is, instead of using Uniswap, we can use SushiSwap, which gives better yields, and then we can use the SushiSwap as well. So the swapping part's not the important thing here.
Got it. But I do imagine that part of it is going to be that it probably will be split a little bit, right? Probably fees on both pools would be the answer.
If we are swapping on the destination chain, Coogan, I think the destination chain is the chain which is going to get the fees.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
No fees to come out of the pool. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Great. That is all the questions that I see in here. I had a question for you, Akshat, which is that we walked through the different functions. But it seems like this bridge and call function, you're able to kind of target a lot of the meat of the work that needs to happen, like the transaction work within the bridge and call function. That's been simplified, it's been abstracted, so people can kind of take that design pattern and be able to integrate it into their own applications. Is that accurate?
Yes, yes. So this is all possible through lxly.js, which is a library which abstract away all the difficulties, makes it available with two code lines that you can import the LXLY client and call the bridge and call. Yes.
Perfect. And I know that you have a couple other, maybe if you want to just run through, just sort of share the other example repos just for folks, ones that people can use as well.
Sure. Just to expand your horizon and might be to give you more ideas on what can be built. Aglia bridge and call is not only restricted to DeFi. That's the one example we have pointed out here. But as I'm moving forward, I will show an example called cross-chain name service. To dive more deep into cross-chain name service and the motivation for this idea, basically, I think many of the folks watching and who will be watching have used ENS, the Ethereum name service, to register names on top of one chain. I am on the Sepolia chain or might be the Ethereum mainnet. I want to register my name on top using ENS. I did that, and then the name that I've registered there is just restricted to the Ethereum mainnet. It is not accessible on the other chains. So what we have done through the cross-chain name service is by using Aglia bridge message. Here we are using bridge message because we don't want to transfer any assets per se. We just want to use the call feature. And when we use bridge message, what will happen is, particularly using cross-chain name service, when we register the name on one chain, the name gets registered on all Aglia connected chains simultaneously. So I can dive in more deep using the source code, and then we actually have a post and a video recorded, which was already put out on X earlier earlier, and which shows the working of the Aglia naming service. Another thing that we want to point out is all these demos and examples are not production. These are educational demos just meant to inspire and motivate developers to show them what is possible and what can be built using Aglia. So getting that clear, we can move on. And just to talk about this name service in particular, this is the running video of when the name service was active. So I want to register a name. Let's just say Aglia. We type Aglia down and we press register name. First, we check the availability. Here we are using only two chains, Sepolia, which is a testnet of Ethereum, which is the source chain, and Cardona, which is the zkAVM testnet, which is the destination chain. In the future, with more Aglia connected chains, this can be expanded into sending and registering your name into all chains. So we first check the availability. While we are checking the availability, we then after checking the availability, we register on top of Sepolia chain. Then after we register on Sepolia, we bridge it to Cardona. So we bridge the name to Cardona and then successfully registered. Then when we go to the names page, we can see here Aglia first is available on one chain. When we claim the message on top of Cardona, which can be done automatically as well. And when we hit refresh, we can see that it is available on two chains. There is a time gap here, but now currently using Ag Sandbox and the instantaneous bridge transfers that I just demonstrated, this can be instant as well. So what we saw is the name that registered on one chain can be instantly registered on all chains. So just imagine how the current ENS name service can be upgraded using Aglia. Yeah.
It sounds great. And the other thing too is that, if people want to build, contribute their own demos, be able to, you start to play around with it, want to build your own things, we are super open to that. Please feel free to jump in, be able to contribute, build on your own. I think it's really, we think it's a really strong product, and we love people to start using it and start playing around with it. That's the end of our technical presentation. I don't know if we had a couple questions lined up here, so just let us know if there are any questions or any other follow-up.
Yeah, so in the meantime, first of all, thank you very much for you both for this great demo. So in the meantime, while the guys are maybe getting ready with your questions, I want to ask, have you, like, what any interesting or unique use cases you've seen of projects using ad layer, like something that like could maybe not the usual let's call it mainstream projects? Anything worth mentioning?
One thing that I'm that I'm interested in, we have two main things. I'll speak to maybe the payments, and then Akshay, I don't know if you want to mention the verifiable AI piece as well. So a big piece of the Polygon, the main chain for Polygon, is going to be payments. We have a tremendous amount of stablecoin volume, super low fees, very fast transaction times there, and we are connecting. By the end of the year, have connected Polygon to the AG layer. And as part of that process, we're going to have access to that, all that transaction, all that sort of infrastructure for payments. And one thing that I think is really interesting is being able to take payments where you have USDC or some other sort of stable coin that you've put on your wallet to do payments, being able to get yield from another chain based on that USDC. So essentially sort of offering a really strong savings program or yield generation for folks who might not be able to get that available through a bank or through their different financial providers. Being able to provide that natively on chain, I think would be really interesting. And we've heard a lot of discussions around that, where similar to, like, if you're using Venmo and you want to send payment through Venmo, being able to get interest on that balance while it's still on there. I think that's possible through AG layer in a way that it wouldn't be through traditional finance.
Actually, a follow-up question for that. On that, it kind of sounds a bit like staking.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a similar idea where the stable, something like USDC. Yeah, I think it would be kind of an interesting sort of staking element as well to it. Like a liquid staking mechanism for sure.
Right, that's very cool. Okay, so a bit personal questions, if it's okay by you guys, that we got. So first of all, we wanted to know what did you guys do like before you got to before you joined the ecosystem? Like how did you find yourself in this position? Both you, Akshat, and Coogan.
Yeah, Akshay, why don't you go first? Akshay is a fresh.
Yeah. So Polygon's my first place. Like I have a full-time role at, and before this, I've done a couple of internships in other Web3 companies. I started out with actually an internship at JP Morgan, where I was doing a research internship there, where I learned a lot about blockchain. JP Morgan has this separate entity and a separate division for blockchain. So I started out there working as a research intern, and then I think climbed my way up doing a couple of internships, and then I think landed at Polygon. Polygon specifically as a place is super interesting because you have all these different projects that it's involved in now. And currently Aglia, which is I think doing the job of unifying all these different L2 chains that are coming up, which is a very grand vision that Polygon is going for. And I think so keeps me super excited and to build these demos and show them.
Yeah, and I my background is that I started out just sort of playing around with crypto a number of years ago, and thought it was really exciting to have an open source community that we could work from and that we could build, start contributing to. And from that, I like to talk, I like to engage with people, and so I started to just do educational events, teaching people about the different pieces. This was starting around 2017, 2018. And so, that was sort of the beginning. And then I, throughout my career, I've just done a lot of education pieces and building out different boot camps, different educational programs, and then early DevRel stuff. And now at Polygon, I'm able to manage the team that's doing the DevRel for AgLayer, which is really exciting, as well as Polygon payment stuff.
That's very cool. All right. So I think two last questions that I got here. First of all, any worth mentioning, I would say mistakes you want to avoid while using Agler?
The mistakes I want to avoid. So basically, we wanted to showcase to this session that the starting point for any application developer should be the Ag Sandbox. So if you don't take away anything from the session, just make sure to go clone the Ag Sandbox, run it once, set it up, and do a bridge asset transaction. It's all pretty easy. Might be will take you less than 10 minutes to go from end to end, from starting up the Ag Sandbox to like running it, and then might be doing a bridge asset. So I think the first place that we want someone to interact with the ag layer now for application developers specifically is the Ag Sandbox, the tool that we have developed. And I think then you can go forward in testing with the testnet and mainnet. Yeah.
All right, that sounds good. Okay, any other tips you think we should know?
Any tips for our developers that you think developers might get some value from that you learned along the way?
Yeah, so for any tips, I can give a lot of tips because I've been working on top of Ag Sandbox and Ag Layer for a couple of months now. But to get the aggregate and the complete refined information for all of this, we have amazing docs, the landing page, the website, everything's given out there. So we want people to basically go there, check them out, read through them, and do one transaction at least today, and then might be give us a feedback on top of that. We'll be actively collecting issues and feedback from our developers in our ecosystem and make sure that the product is better. We also mentioned that the fork mode, which is the second mode for Ag Sandbox, will be coming up soon. We are actually in the process of testing it, and when that comes up, the basically the we can do much more amazing demos. So we can connect to actual smart contracts using fork mode on Katana. So there we can use Sushi Swap, and maybe we can connect to Morpho Blue for staking and for lending. Sorry, and we can do all these things with the actual contract state as well. Yeah.
Awesome. So I have a few more questions, and I see Ariel from the audience also want to ask a few more questions, if that's okay with you guys. So I would start with something a bit more fun, but what is your favorite thing in what you do today for each of you?
Uh,
I'll start. Yeah, I'll start and kick off. I love the different creative minds that are in crypto. I love being able to work with people who are so curious and so growth oriented, and really have this growth oriented mindset. It's a really exciting atmosphere to be around, and incredibly energetic, and just gives me a ton of energy. And so I really learn a ton from people around me. I'm inspired by people around me, and I'm pushed to kind of grow more from the people around me as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so as I had mentioned before, this is my first full time in Polygon. So I'm getting to learn a lot day by day. So every day is a new challenge. Might be today we do some work around Aglia. We also are doing some works on the payment side. So getting to learn a lot daily in the ecosystem and working with a much experienced team on Polygon is, I think, the most interesting part for me. Yeah.
Awesome. Just before we continue, I see one member from the audience asked if you can guide someone, an absolute beginner, on how to start building on Polygon, or at least where to send them.
Specifically for Aglia, as we have kept on saying that Ag Sandbox and the Aglia developer portal is your best starting point. For Polygon as a whole, if you want to build on POS, you can directly go to the Polygon docs and the website where you can find documentation how to might be launch single chain dApps on top of POS. Yeah.
Awesome. So Coogan, I know you have to jump. If you already have to go, then thank you so much for everything, and we will still chat for a few more minutes. And if you want to stay for one last question from Ariel, it will also be appreciated.
Great. No, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, and really happy to see everybody here. Thanks all.
Just let you know, it's going to be a great question.
All right, I'll stick around. I'll do one more question.
One more question. Okay, so where both of you see Agler going in the next, I don't know, 3 or 5 years from now? Like, what is the next step for that?
Next steps is connecting Polygon to Aglair. I think it's going to be a huge piece, and then having hundreds of chains connected, kind of just accelerating from there. Being able to build outposts, build out all the network until there are tons of networks that are able to talk to each other and build will be really exciting, because then the developers don't have to worry about any sort of liquidity or user base. You can just build from there. So yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Awesome.
Thanks so much
Thank
for
you so
having
much
me.
for
Really appreciate it. Yeah, talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks a lot, guys. Yeah.
So should I continue for the next question, or we need to?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, yes.
Still
Okay,
have some time for us.
So actually, I just searched a little bit about it, and I saw that there was a problem, and actually still does, a problem with bridges hacks. So it was a big issue. For example, wormhole bridge and project like that. So how does Aglair handle with that? Like, what did you learn from it? And
Yes.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so while building Aglia, the Polygon's team main concern was security. As Coogan briefly introduced at the start on the slide, that we are using pessimistic proofs, which is a kind of ZK proofs, which are there for cross-chain security. These ZK proofs are built using Plonky 3 and make sure that any cross-chain transfers that are happening between two chains are first, the ZK proof first gets settled on top of Ethereum and then it goes through. So security is not a problem on Aglia. That is the first thing that was a consideration when building the entire protocol. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. I have one last question, but let's say outside of egg layer, what are you most excited about in the space at the moment?
In the complete Web3 space, I think the work that is going on in decentralized AI, verifiable AI, is something much interesting as well. Yeah. I don't know if you're following the work that Sentient is doing, and yeah, so that space also pretty interesting. Yeah.
Awesome. And
Actually, I have a follow-up question for that. So I don't know if you've heard of Git MCP, the GitHub that's connecting a bunch of, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Git
Right.
MCP, Model Context Protocol of Git. Okay.
So I wanted to know rather, or like how is it similar to Aglair in that context of a bridging, sort of bridging a few LLMs or a few AI agents, let's say, with each other. So I just
Got
want
it.
to
So
pick your
I
brain
assume
with
you're
that.
talking about the Model Context Protocol, the MCP protocol, if I'm right. Yeah, so if you're talking about that, it's basically a standard, as a standard Agger is as well. So every chain that gets connected to Aglia follows this unified bridge contracts that are already deployed there, and that follows the standard, a particularly set standard to do bridging. So yeah, Aglia is a standard if you're asking from that point of view.
okay, awesome. Is there anything else or some cool story or anything you would like to share with our community, or anything you
Uh,
think our developers would like to know?
Nothing for now, but keep following us on Twitter handles from Aglia and my personal Twitter handle as well. Any new updates about Polygon and particularly the projects that I'll be building are all on that. Yeah. So, yeah.
Awesome. So we will invite you to our Telegram group to continue if we'll have more questions from the community later. But in the meantime, thank you so much, Akshat. It was a pleasure.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for the Web3 Underground. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. And Eden, it's your cue for the.
Yeah.
All right. So again, Akshay, thank you so much, and for the hit to Coogan as well. And thank you to all the participants who joined us today. Please help us grow our community and follow us on X, on social media. And see you at our next online meetup at September 17th. We're going to host Arik Galansky, he's VP Technology at Fireblocks. All the details are available through our website and web3devs.org, and also on our Luma or Meetup calendar pages. If you want to take an active part in our community or speak at our next event, please let us know and reach out through Telegram or through our website. And for those of you listening to us for the first time, we're Web3 Devs Underground community. We're all about top technical content, open source, no cheating, and all done by builders for builders. So everything we do is always free, reliable, and for the community. And that's it. We thank you very much for joining us today and hope to see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you, Akshat. And thank you, Ariel, for joining us as well.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone. See you next time.